So, welcome to another edition of Hotel Race Reviews. This edition is the Michigan Titanium Man, which happened August 22nd, so Sunday.
Are you sure it's Titanium Man? I guess it's just Michigan Titanium.
I thought it was Titanium Man, but
it says be a Titan. Whatever.
Yeah, so I guess we're just not trying for direct copyright infringement. Their whole thing is, what is it, that titanium doesn't rust like iron. There's a bunch of, yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, nice.
Excuse me, iron rusts, titanium doesn't, yeah. So,
I like it.
So let's get right into it. We have a 7-banana system for rating, and we'll go over each of the categories, kind of describe the race, and get right into it.
We have check-in and transition, and I don't really think, I'm going to give it a 7-banana, but we don't really have the experience that everybody else had. So, first of all, we got there on Sunday morning and had to check in Sunday morning. So we got there, and we got there at 1 o'clock, but check-in was like 5:30 or 5:30, I think. Which was super easy. Thank you, Lori, for checking us in and getting us our stuff. Really appreciate you, letting us come in late so that we could get 2 races in for the weekend.
So the official rule, so that we covered this, is that everybody has to check in prior to the race. This is a pre-check-in race. If you have extremely extenuating circumstances, like perhaps you're trying to set a world record, local races will help you out like that. So that's, we got a one-time exception. That is not the standard. So we can't really review check-in because
we can't review it. It's just not going to be the same as everybody else.
But yes, our experience was obviously a 7.
Okay. They were right. They were ready for us. They knew who we were when we walked up.
Sure did. You guys, the brothers.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I'm going to give it a 7 just because they were so very accommodating. That happens with local races like this. They're going to do everything that they can to help you because there's not 3,000 of you.
But this was a big race. This is probably the biggest local race we've been in. This is
certainly the largest for the local race we've been a part of.
Yeah.
This race is composed of a full distance, a half distance, an Olympic. Is there a sprint too? I think there's a sprint.
Yeah. Anything you want.
And you want to race, they'll race.
You could have done an aqua bike, you could have done an aqua run, you could have done a run bike on any of the distances. They would have let you, anything that you wanted, you could have signed up for.
Yeah, which is why this thing easily gets to 7. They're going way out of their way and they had different swim caps for each of these different colored swim caps for each of these different categories. At least as far as I could tell, there was some colors that...
I think if you were doing like the half aqua bike or whatever, you had the same cap because you went off with the half wave group or whatever. It was whoever was going
purple.
On. Is that what it was?
Yeah, that was what I noticed.
Yeah, so they advertise this. They're the announcer's talking. He's got all day to talk. But this is the only full distance race in Michigan. So Ironman doesn't even do a full Ironman in Michigan. I guess they do a half, but they don't do a full. So good for them. They pulled it off. It wasn't as far as the number of people that did the full. It wasn't huge. 100 people, 150 people at the most.
Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't a ton of people, but they stayed out there. Lori said she was working. She was there at 5:30 checking us in. She said that she'd be there till 2
in the morning.
2 in the morning, making sure everybody got finished. So good for them. That was. Super accommodating, super flexible on how they, let you register.
So check-in.
Let's talk about transition. Transition. This is the first time my name has ever been on the bike rack.
That is super cool. So, you have your bike number, and your bike number is 42. You've got your number on your bike, and you move on. They had our individual names up under our number, and that is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
They let you put whatever you wanted on your race bib. So, mine was at Iron.fam, and Sam's was race number 19
for the world record.
It was actually race number 18.
It was.
We were registered for it 6 months ago or whatever.
We planned on it being number 19, Canada.
So anyway, that was cool. What else we got?
So transition for the full, They had change tents for the full.
They
I
did.
guess you could have also used it if you were doing the half,
Yeah.
but and they had bags for the full. Everybody else had their items by their bike. 6 bikes per rack. The lanes were not super wide as far as the between the bikes. I don't know what to call that. I'm gonna call it the lanes, aisles.
I got so lucky. Mine was on the very end of a rack, and it was next to an aisle. The the bad thing about that was you get in, you change your clothes, and you're pulling your bike. And I mean, I've got tons of room to pull my bike. Well, I start pulling the rack with it because my pedal got hung on one of the legs because I was so close to the end, and I was like, oh, whoops. So you got to be careful for that. But yeah, I got super lucky with the end spot. It was kind of hard. There wasn't like a center lane. So when I took my bike off the rack, I had to actually get all the way on the other sides of the racks for the bike to exit. And I had to kind of pick a lane that there weren't a whole bunch of people changing clothes on or whatever, or putting their bike shoes and stuff, because if you were to just go straight down the thing, you're going to be bumping people on both sides. So maybe if I went around the other way, I don't know. Whichever way I chose just wasn't great. I mean, it ended up being fine. I found a little bit wider lane and went that way, and I didn't hit anybody. But that was about the only thing that I could probably knock on.
Yeah, bike in and bike out are on the exact same entry. Swim in and run out were the same. So there was some. I guess it's just luck of the draw as to how they did the numbers. But they had grouped everybody together as far as full people, half people, and then I couldn't tell you about the sprint versus the Olympic, but I'm assuming that was grouped together too. So the people that were around you were doing whatever race you were doing.
All right, swim. Real quick on swim.
So the swim, this was for the full, it's a 2-loop course. For the half, it is a 1-loop course. For the Olympic, it was a 3/4. So they had orange buoys. Kudos to the race. The swim caps were a different color than the buoys. They had lots of different swim caps, and none of them were yellow or orange. Thank you. You did great. You get an extra point for that. But it was interesting. So this is a beach entry in and out, and not the longest. The swim exit to transition was not one of the longest we had, but it was a little bit longer, maybe 200 yards.
It wasn't as bad as it could have been.
They had carpets for the run out, so that you were not running in sand. Once again, kudos to that. We've been asking for it from Ironman for years. I liked the way that they did it. So the full goes off, and then the half goes off an hour later. So you've had enough time that the full people are generally headed back out for their second lap or something thereof. And so when your half people come out, they're behind the fulls or spread out. Did not get swam over. This was not a wetsuit legal race.
They did allow wetsuits though, but they were, so a lot of times they'll tell you that you're not eligible for age group awards or whatever. This time they were like, you can wear a wetsuit, but your time itself will not count officially at all. And they actually kept that timing separate.
That's very interesting.
So it wasn't even listed in their official results.
Yeah,
so,
it was lava shorts, wetsuits, any type of buoyancy. I didn't see anybody with orange floaties, but I'm sure they would have counted too.
Yeah. So basically they let you do the race, but it didn't count as you doing the race.
You could get a medal, and so there were a lot of people that were doing this as a warm up for X or as a practice for Y. If you're doing a full that will be wetsuit legal, that's what they were tuning. It was a tune-up race for some of the people that we talked to. But yeah, they did a great job. There was actually since you have all these waves going off at different times, there was a practice swim area over to the I guess if you're looking at it to the right. So they had done that was fantastic. You had an opportunity to get in the water, feel it, while people are going in the water, but you're not in the way. So this swim, I'm going to give a 7 to. I would not change a single thing about it, and I think they did a magnificent job. This is a 7 lake swim. I don't know how to, adjust for the others, but as far as lake swim goes, this is the best I've done.
It was very well marked. I would have liked to have seen a few more sighting buoys. We weren't first, and maybe if you were like in the front of the line, you could see better. But to me, I think a few more sighting buoys would have been better. The very first buoy that you're sighting is actually behind the Olympic, so you had the Olympic in the front, and then your buoy in the back of it. And so it was really kind of hard. I mean, you could just aim for the Olympic buoy, and that was fine. But your buoy was on the other side of that. I'm not gonna give it a 7 for that. But I mean, it was a very good swim, very well. Plenty of lifeguards. He said that the guy they had a little man or whatever, like a blow up man that one of those like at a car dealerships where they go like this. He said you'd be able. He said swim towards it after you swim around the last buoy. You can't miss it. And I couldn't see it. So
it was a little tough from that one.
I mean, he was a big man, but I couldn't see it.
As you're coming in, you've got the Olympic buoy, and then you had one sighting buoy, and then you had the man, and I could not see him when I turned the corner.
I mean, you knew where you were going, and I don't feel like I didn't go in a straight line, but I would have liked to seen a few more sighting buoys on the way. So 6, I gave it 6.5. It was still a very good swim.
Excellent.
All right, on to the bike. So the bike is a 2-loop course for the full, 1-loop course for the. Isn't that right?
That's
right. One loop course for the half. So we can tell you about it because you're just gonna do it twice for the full. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of out and backs, and like U-turn out and backs. It was. I enjoyed it. It was a relatively fast bike for us. It was the second one of the weekend, and the last second one of the weekend was just miserable. This one wasn't as miserable. So it was good. I can't think of anything important that you would need to know. The roads were pretty decent. I mean, when we got our bikes pumped up from the bike shop guy, and asked him how the roads were, and he was like, they suck, and he must not have been on some of the roads that we've been on because I don't think that they sucked.
That's fair. Arizona sucked. Michigan, not so bad. Or this particular area of Michigan.
Yeah.
Once again, snow line. So we're above the snow line, or they're above the plow line, I guess is what I should really call it. And given that, these roads were reasonably good. Our standard right now is 90 psi, or 6.5 for our European friends. Didn't have any issues. I did see some flat tires, so anything can happen. Road debris versus overinflation, whatever. So it certainly did see some issues people had on bikes, but the water stop. There was the very first water stop. So there were 3 water stops. The first one was early for us, but perfect for the full. And so, I don't know how to measure that really, but 3 water stops, and they were properly placed. The second one was around 20 or 21.
I mean, think about it. On a regular half Ironman, you only have 2 water stops, right? Because you have one at like mile 15, and then no, you do have 3: 15, 30, and 40 something.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that first one, I mean, everybody just passed it because. I mean, it's right out. It's within a mile of transition. Mm-hmm. So if you mess up in transition and forget your fluids or something, it's perfect for you. But that's also right at the turnaround for doing the second loop on the full. So that's why they have that there. It's not like it's a useless water stop. It's a good water stop for the people doing the full.
Not much shade on the bike.
No.
And I mean, it's Michigan. There's hills, so there was nothing that was awful. It was not rolling. There were hills, but
could have been really hot, but it was overcast for us, so it was actually kind of pleasant.
It was. Yeah.
I can't think of anything else. I mean, I know they had. I didn't see everybody that I saw with flat tires was changing themselves, but I saw some people, support out there for them. But I mean, as far as the bike goes, I mean, it was a good bike. I don't like the out and backs as much as I would just like a string and a balloon. I think I kind of like that better. Mm-hmm. But they did what they needed to do to make it the 56 miles, and it was right at the mileage that we needed. So So that was good.
Plenty of. There's not a ton of cops. No. I think I counted it was 20 because I was trying to do the math on what that was costing. So some of the intersection had 3 officers where it was a busier intersection.
It was all rural,
but
3. I mean, usually, 1, sometimes 2, but we rarely see 3 cops at an intersection.
Yeah, so it might have just been hanging out.
Yeah. I mean, good for them. We didn't have any trouble with traffic.
No problems with cars.
I don't even think the cars. Was there any cars that were unpleasant to you?
No.
Yeah, so I think they're all good.
This is an open course. I would not call it a busy open course. We've had busy open courses before, but not awful. So you got a score for us on the bike?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take off a little bit for those out and backs. The roads were relatively good. I'll give it a 6.
I'm with you. I think I want to give it a 6.5. I'm with you. I do not like the U-turns, but where they had placed them, the roads were plenty wide, and so I appreciate that.
Oh, and it's not on a downhill either. Yeah. I mean, you get points taken off when you do a U-turn on a downhill.
Yes.
That's just mean.
That is completely unnecessary and just poorly thought out race. They had done a reasonable job of where they had put them. You got to I'm taking off a half a point certainly for that. You've got to work with what the race has to work with what's given, and it's a fun one. I liked it. So 6.5 is like.
All right. So on the run, tell us about the run.
So for the full, it is a four loop course, as I'm going to call it. It's really an out and back run. And so you did that 4 times if you were doing the full, 2 times if you were doing the half, and then they had a short turnaround for the Olympic and then an even shorter turnaround for the sprint. So everybody has basically the same course. You had a full out of transition. You had a full dedicated lane up to the main road you're going to be running on. That was split, so you had people going north and south, or whatever direction that was, but up and down inside of that one lane. There were not enough people that I ever felt crowded, or I've had that at races where we complained there's just not enough room. There was plenty of room. We didn't have any issues with that. Once you got onto the road where the long stretch was, it was a limited access road, so technically open. But maybe 20 or 30 cars in the 2 hours we spent.
I think that it was most. I think it was closed to all but local traffic.
Yeah, so it was people going home or people going. They had to have a reason to go on the street because there was a cop right there.
Yeah.
That did not feel bad at all. Tons of room. We took up most of that road. Great. I really liked because you were doing the course as a double loop. Lots of aid stations, which was good because the sun. Our first loop was cloudy. Second loop was not. I don't know. There are some shady spots to that course, but not a lot.
You could run to a shady spot and then walk a little bit if that's what you wanted to do, or get a little bit of break in some shade. Yeah. But it was once the sun came out, you felt it. It was pretty tough.
It was warm.
Yeah.
So they had, once the sun came out, they broke out the cooling towels. That was super helpful. They had chicken broth available at one of the aid stations. Pickle juice. I feel like there was something else. Pickle juice and cola was standard. Chicken broth at that one. There was something else there too, but I tried the chicken broth. They just opened the can and poured it in.
Yeah, you got to warm that up if you're gonna make it. I kind of get it because it was a hot day, and I guess when Ironman does that, it's cooled down towards the night. So
Ironman doesn't break it out until after dark, so I was super excited. And I take this chug of lukewarm chicken broth.
It was not good.
I don't recommend it. Don't try it. But that was a fun run course. That was an interesting run course. Undulations. I wouldn't call them
it wasn't
hills.
hilly. Yeah.
But certainly some undulation on the run. That first out of transition, I would call a hill. It was a fairly long. It wasn't awful. But
you did have to do it twice because you came down there, turned around, and came back up. So you did do that part twice.
And it has to be a little over half a mile.
Yeah.
So yeah, you came down that thing and into the finish line chute. So I like a race where we finish on that note.
All right, so give me a score.
That's a great question. I'm going to give this a 6. I got to downgrade you a little bit for the out and back, and then just no shade. So if we're doing out and backs anyway, at least maybe try to find something a little shady. But yeah, there's no real view. Those are really my complaints, is that there's no shade and no view. So it's a race.
I'm gonna give it a 6 too. If I was doing the full, I'd give it a 4 because you had to do it 4 times, and that just gets monotonous and old. I understand why they did it that way because it wasn't a big full. You only had a certain number of people in there, but just be aware if you're doing the full, you're doing that loop 4 times, and it's just gonna get boring and you're going to be inside your head thinking that, hey, why did I even do this race kind of thing. So know that up front, and I don't expect them to change it. I don't even really recommend that they change it because, for them to change it, they're going to have a lot more support. And, for the number of people they have doing the full, you probably can't justify that. So just know up front that you're doing it 4 times, and that gets kind of monotonous.
Fair enough. So you got a finish line swag? All
right, so the finish line, When we were watching their Facebook post for the full, they were like, they said we believe this medal is the largest medal ever given for a triathlon. And we saw it. We got the half, which was just a regular. It was big.
It was a big medal.
But it wasn't. It wasn't the biggest thing we've ever seen. But for the full, dude, that thing was a dinner plate.
You looked like Mr. T.
Yeah, it was huge. And you actually got that medal whether you did all the full, or if you just did the aqua bike for the full, or if you did the swim run for the full. Whatever you did for the full, you got that great big medal. So that was pretty cool.
They also gave you, for the full, you got a finisher T-shirt. So that was cool.
Yeah, I didn't see what that was. We got these at Checkin, and they're cotton T-shirts, but it's a nice soft cotton. I like it, and it's red. We've been getting a lot of blue and black shirts, so I'm kind of glad that it's red. Mm-hmm. As far as finish line swag for an independent race, what else do we get?
Do we get socks for this?
We got Gatorade, like a big bottle of Gatorade. I think we got socks too, and then we got like a cooler bag. Was this one we got the cooler bag?
I don't think so.
Okay, one of them
That's the cooler bag, isn't it?
Yeah, what does it say on it?
I think that came from the other one.
It says Endurance Sports.
Yeah,
that's a different one. Okay, never mind. No,
we should start over. No cooler bags. No, sir.
Okay, where are we at? After the medal.
Okay, so medal. So medal is huge. No idea. Glad.
All right. So besides the medal, what else did we get? We got.
Did we get socks on this?
Yeah, I think we got socks, and we got this cotton T-shirt, and it's cotton, so it's not technical. So that sometimes we take off for that, but it's a nice soft cotton, and it's red. I like the color. We've been getting a lot of blue and black T-shirts, so I'm not gonna take any off for the T-shirt. But yeah, it was. For independent race, the swag was good.
I'll give you that.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
So we'll give it a solid 6. What do you got?
I'm with you. I'm taking off for the shirt. I just believe you need a technical T-shirt. To be fair, I have drawers and drawers of T-shirts, so
maybe that might be why I'm not taking off for the cotton, because I have so many technical T-shirts that the cotton.
Oh yes, I have a whole closet full of technical T-shirts too, so probably should. But I'm going to give it a 5.5 on the swag. I'd like to see them up that just a little bit more. I always like the hat.
Oh yeah.
So just charge I promise not to complain if you up the price by $10 or $15, whatever it costs to do that hat. But otherwise, yeah, it's great. You guys did a great job.
Yep. All right.
So town, you got a score for. This is Grand Rapids officially.
Yeah, man. I don't feel like we weren't there long enough.
So
I mean, nobody tried to run me off the road on bikes.
Hey,
you get high scores for that.
Already higher than Panama City. Didn't try to kill anybody. Oh man. So yeah, we didn't have any issues with locals. The parking was a little ways away, and they bust you in. Officially, there are no bikes on the school buses. So make sure you pay attention to that because you need to drop your bike off. Yeah. But across from the race are a lot of local businesses, and I'm certain for the full, as the business is closed, they're not going to care. But us, taking over their parking lot for the day is not an option. We got threatened to get towed a lot.
We didn't even have a car there, and they were threatening to tow us. So,
yeah.
So the actual race officials were out there at the parking lot entrances, making sure racers were not parking in that stuff. Plenty of parking at the school. The shuttles ran regularly.
They ran fantastically.
The only issue for us was with the bike, and you're not going to have that issue the day before because you're going to drop your bike the day before.
Why you're checking in the day before.
Yeah. So I park at the school, ride the shuttle bus. That was fine.
Issues. Yeah. Both before and after the race, they had plenty. We weren't waiting on the shuttle more than a minute.
Yeah. Never waited very long.
Yeah. That was great. So yeah, overall in the race.
Yeah, I mean, I think I gave it 6s for most everything, so I think I'm a solid 6 for the race.
For a local race, I'm giving this a 6.5. This is going to be my highest score on a local ever. Do this race is a great job. They put on a fantastic race. I'd highly recommend it. So if you're looking for a local, doesn't cost the same as an Ironman. I'm adjusting some of my expectations because it is significantly cheaper than Ironman. So what they've taken out is a factor of cost and economies of scale. But what they put in is just shows how much they care, how much thought process they're looking and caring about the athletes, and I think that showed up for us. So 6.5. That's a great job. You guys earned it.
All right, thanks, guys. Pay attention to our next video. We'll give you stories from the weekend for doing 2 races in the weekend and how we fared this time.
All right, thanks.